very concise, very to the point, and help you to understand the sacred sciences, etc., philosophy better. Because there is a unifying field, and that's what my work's all about. There is a unifying one universal overarching philosophy that was bequeathed to humanity when humanity was not fragmented. And so a departure happened in the past where all that information was fragmented, and so we became Buddhists, Muslims, Christians, Jews. They were already there, but they were integrated. And they were all different aspects of paying homage to nature, God, the creator, through astrology, through homeopathy, through natural means, natural living. Now, we've departed from that. It's obvious. We're very technological now, and we would rather take a doctor's manipulated chemical versions of nature. Now, so what they do is they get natural things and they invert it, throw in a few chemicals, put a patent on it, make a lot of money, and it's not as effective. So we know that nature has all the answers, and this is why witches, astrologers, homeopaths, with the advent of allopathy, homeopathy went bye-byes, you see, underground. And so now we're kooks because we believe that nature's got all the cool stuff that can help us and heal us. Just weird how we figured that. We should have gone to school, got educated, and learnt better. That the white coat people that tell you, how to treat your illnesses rather than cure and heal them, it's best to go to them because they've done 7 years of university. So my work is based on that, Vinny. I'm improving syncretism. My latest videos, if you go to my YouTube channel, Missed Astrotheology, click on all the last, say, 20 videos. If you've seen anything I've done years ago, you'll see that these videos, these presentations are much more concise, much more information-packed and cohesive. I have a much more cohesive way of presenting my material.
And have you been working on technology and learning how to master that kind of thing?
Yeah, I have. Been learning a lot about magnetism and always applying it to healing and magic. So magnetism and magic, they were always synonymous. They were always the same word. And they used to call it divine magnetism, whereas electricity is mundane. There's two different worlds going on here. Magnetism is the longitudinal pulse. It's not a wave. It's a radiating pulse. Just imagine a stone, a pebble thrown in a pond, a steel pond. You'll see a radiation. Those are radiation waves. Okay, that's what magnetism does. It pulses, boom, like your heart. The heart does not vibrate. It radiates. You always say when you meet someone with a beautiful big heart, you say, oh, they had a radiating heart. You would never say, oh, their heart was vibrating. Because what vibrates is the liver and the brain, which both create thought waves and emotion waves. Those are the noise waves that we generate from our thinking and feeling, whereas the heart, the pulse, is being. And so magnetism, just the very word itself and knowing that it is a pulse and not a wave, electricity is the transverse decaying wave, hence inferior to magnetism, which is atemporal and eternal. Everything electrical in the electrical world has a decay factor in it. Whatever it is, a thought wave, you get a torch, how far does it shine? only limited.
Mm.
You get a radio, and you drive 50 miles away from your favorite radio station. What happens? All of a sudden, the crackly, the wave, because they're using a transverse wave and not a pulse, it will decay. So you have to get close to the source. This is why electricity, the mundane temporal world, is an illusion, Maya. It's not an illusion, it's real, but it's a temporal reality. And this is why the true spiritualists, I should say mystics, not spiritualists, anyone can be spiritual. That means to detach yourself from the material. But a mystic is the next level. It's the anagogic level. Spiritual is allegoric. It's for people who are mental or people who are intellectual. But the mystical, MYST, is fire. MIST, mist, is water. This is why they don't like mystics, you see. Oh, he's a mystic, as if to say that he's an idiot because he's a mystic. Well, their own scriptures tell you that eventually you must be baptized in spirit and fire, not the water baptism, which is for kids. And what that means is fire is the highest element. It's plasma. And the whole universe is made of plasma. Plasma is the same word as pulse, just jumbled around. Plasma, pulse, and prana, if you realize that L and R are interchangeable. So once you know those three words, pulse, plasma, prana, the universe is 99.9% plasma, which comes from the ether, the quintessence. So scientists ignore the ether. They're just starting to learn about plasma and pulse weapons and pulse. They're using a lot of pulse weaponry and technology these days, aren't they? Well, that tells you because they're now entering a new era of technology, which is magnetic, bye-bye electric. Okay, electricity has been a ruinous energy for humanity. It's created the electrical grid, whereas only 150 years ago, up until 150 years ago, when they dismantled the magnetic free energy grid that was all universal around the world and set up their electric grid, they stepped down. We stepped down to a control system. Electricity, the transverse wave, you can put meters on that. The pulse wave, you can get that prana from breathing. Prana, pulse, plasma, breath.
I find it's different about this kind of aspect, especially when it comes to healing, allopathic medicine, that sort of thing. It ignores basically Tesla, who created what was it, the radio and television and all of these other kind of things, alternating current. And he said that it's all about frequency, that's frequency and vibration. That's the nature of the universe if you want to understand it, if you want to create electricity or anything like that. Able to create wireless electricity that was safe. All right, imagine that, ladies and gentlemen, driving around with no gas tank and no engine, and no fuel anywhere on Earth all the time. Beautiful. But, of course, let's censor that because it allows people to be free. We don't want that. We want to keep people restricted. We want to keep people thinking small. Okay, just take this pill here. Just look down here and look at that tiny little pill. That's the whole universe right there. That's that tiny little pill. Just shove it in your mouth. No, don't read the side effect. No, it's good for you. Just trust me on this one. And you're like, well, hold on a second here. I don't understand what's happening to me. I don't understand what's going into my body. I'm just trusting that somebody else does. How could somebody else know your body better than you? That's the oddity of life, isn't it, when it comes to trusting in any kind of cult. And when I say cult, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to a doctor, he's part of a cult. Most of us are part of a cult, all right? Don't have any illusions. If you've ever been in a organisation where there's a central authority figure and a silo mentality that squeezes out the outsiders and henpecks them, poor nutrition, sleep deprivation, mindless, boring, repetitious tasks, ladies and gentlemen, you're in part of a cult, okay? This And we've all been there. We've all done that. If you've been to school or you've ever had a job, you've been cult indoctrinated. So don't be flippant when you call a doctor a cult member, because they've also had the fluorescent lighting and they've had a lot more repetition than you have. 7 years of dull repetition in a foreign language, Latin. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's your brainwashing, and now you know why everybody trusts doctors so much, because they're so brainwashed they can't even question their own programming.
Yeah, it's really, really sad. Really sad. People pay to be educated. I don't like that word at all. A better word for enlightened people would be to be illuminated. They don't like illuminatiated.
They'd rather us be eliminated,
Exactly. Yeah. So, or enlightened, once upon a time, the mystery schools, mystery, again, remember MYST, mystery schools, they have a very negative stigmatization that they've blanket put over anything mystery, mystics, mystery. It's in the Bible. It's a biblical word. The mystery of Christ is in the Bible. St. Paul mentioned it. St. Peter mentioned it. It's the mystery. So, and it's the MYST, which is the baptism of fire. It means to have the higher elements, your fire illuminated, like the disciples at Pentecost had the tongues of fire on their heads, symbolizing a baptism of fire. This is what every initiate does. That's what you go through the ordeals at the mystery schools to come out accomplished. And then you get crucified at the end, which is the symbolic crucifixion of Jesus. And then you get a white stone with a new name on it, which is your spiritual name, and you have a baptism in fire. It's all a process that individuals must go through to purify, crucify their body in this world and ascend to the next stage. And we've lost that science, but it's in all the holy books, how to get on the path of truth and then be crucified and then be saved and baptized with fire. So that's what my work's all about, just freeing people and helping them to become self-determined. So when it comes to medications, you don't need them. I don't go to doctors. I make my own stuff. So if I've got, say, digestive problems, I go to the internet and I punch in what's good for digestion. Well, peppermint essential oil, fennel essential oil. So I make a little bit of a drink that, and lo and behold, stomach pain, indigestion just goes. It's so simple. Essential oils I would have in my healing box. I've got hundreds of essential oils. I work with essential oils topically, internally, sprays, all kinds, in my baths. Go on.
Well, we have actually our first super chat question of the evening from And Gummy Bears. He asks, was the Tartarian Empire real? Do you know anything about that, Santos? I've heard whispers of this thing, but as far as I know, if it's Tartarian, it goes great on fried fish, bro. But that's where my knowledge on that ends.
Yeah, well, I've been researching this myself ever since a kid. I knew about Tartaria and Tartary in the Bible, considered to be hell, and all the slander against Genghis Khan and the Tartans, and even up until World War II, the Russians were dealing with Tartaria, and they've still got a state there just above Moscow, which is Tartaria. Now, that's the Aryans, okay? The people from Iran and Ireland, all of these Tartaria, these are the Aryans. Okay, and in that Aryan race, there were different stages. There were giants, there were smaller people, and and we came along, and we're still Aryans, but we're the small version of Aryans. This is where all the bones of
we're more the Airy-Farians now. But yeah, continue.
Yep. Well, so the Tartarians, see, they succeeded the Atlanteans. And some of the seed of the Atlanteans have returned. They've been resurrected. And that's why we have trouble on Earth. The people who you can't speak against, who are really mostly behind the destruction of the free energy Tartarian grid all the way up until the Second World War, by the way. They were still destroying German cities that were utilizing free energy, Dresden and a lot of places like that. But Russia was absolutely smashed by the Bolsheviks, all of their free energy. You can still see images, photos of their streets with electricity and no wires, etc. The history we've been told is absolutely a total fairy tale, and it's agreed upon by the criminals. And what they did was they destroyed the Tartarian Empire, which was syncretic. In other words, it embraced Christianity, Judaism, all faiths, because it understood that you resonate with your DNA to certain faiths. Christians are Jupiterian, Jews are Saturnian, Islamists are Martian and Venetian. A lot of people don't know any of this. They've got no idea what I'm saying. But if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you will understand. The Christian religion is solar and Jupiterian, which means it's benefic. It's based on charity. And that's why it was prospering in the Tartarian period. It had nothing to do with going to church and all of this historical Jesus bullshit story, which is Roman. It had to do with Christ consciousness, true Christianity, which is a way of life. It's a theological science. None of these churchgoers will ever even know this before they die, because they've been educated as well in their churches, run by the Protestants, funded by the Jesuits, who started the Martin Luther and Calvin and King Henry VIII in all of their Protestantism to divide Christendom, which was united. It was united. And so what they did was they dismantled this Christian Tartarian free energy, probably 1,000 years of peace. When they say that there was 1,000 years of dark ages, run away from that really, really quick. There were no dark ages, sweeties, no dark ages. There were ages of enlightenment. This is the darkest age ever to visit any place in the universe. Right now, hell has been vested in this earth by these demons, and they are demons from hell. And hell is firstly a condition, not a place. Please understand that. I don't refer to hell as you would a churchgoer. I'm talking about the real hell, okay? There's levels of existence, okay? And your merits fit you in to where your deeds will put you. And that's why we're here. We are here absolutely due to our own doings and our own karmic growth. So the hell that has come upon this earth, you can rest assured. I mean, I can tell you the two sides of the same coin that are behind it, or the three sides. And you'd have to look at the monotheistic corporate structure of Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. You have a look at the elite families who are funding all of these, the Jewish Sanhedrin, the Jesuits, and the Vatican, and the Holy Curia, and militant Islam. You'll find the Pallavicini, Aldobrandini, Orsini, Farnese, Borgia, Borghese, all the crime families who created the Jesuits, the Protestants, and the Counter-Reformation, and all the mayhem of chaos and order ever since. Freemasonry, Illuminati, all of it is run by these three clubs, the monotheists. And they've destroyed monism. Remember, monotheism is an aberration which destroys our true syncretic religion that we had in Tartaria, monism.
Now, which is also the religion practiced in Jamaica because they worship Mon. But we have a second question in from the chat room in here from Borsu. Yeah, Santos, could you please shed some light on the Genesis Taurus, the one Meru Foundation is trying to claim as their own?
Okay, so Stan Tenen is the guy behind the Meru Foundation, Hebrew scholar. And what he discovered was that the human hand, both of these, as your hand fits like this in a golf ball, a bowling ball, he discovered that position there, if you put your thumb in the middle of an apple, if that's an apple, say for instance the torus field. So what he did was he converted the bowling ball, because of the hand position, into a torus field, into an apple. Same thing. And what he discovered was if you have this in the apple core, the thumb, you got 4 fingers, and you can fit your hand around that 3 times. So that's 3 times 4, 12. So he realized that 12 is the number perfect division of the torus field, as I have done in my work. And now I present only my information on syncretism, nature, astrology, everything, always based on the torus field. So what he found was he cut that apple. He made a model. He's got a paper mache or some kind of a model of an apple, and he's cut it in 3 segments. And you can see his video on YouTube, Stan Tenen. It's called Dance of the Hebrew Letters. I strongly recommend it. Because what he does is he shows how those are the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 disciples of Jesus, the 12 musical chromatic notes of the universe, 12. It's always 12, that holy dozen. So there is a 12ness about toroidal energy, magnetic energy. And the universe knows that, and it's been trying to teach us that astrology is the science of magnetism. Hello, wake up. It's the only science that divides energy, a wave, into 12 parts. Humanity is so stupid that they only see energy as positive and negative. You see, they see a wave as that's positive half, and this is the negative half of a wave. No, that's for simpletons. That's for people who are stupid, who do not know God, creation, nature. Energy is a 12ness. From the start of every wave, it starts in Aries, plasma, Taurus, solid, Gemini, gas, Cancer, water. They are different states of energy, different frequencies. Thank you, Tesla. So through every 30-degree segment of a 360-degree energy wave, whether it be a thought wave, emotion wave, light wave, sound wave, doesn't matter. The moment that wave splits from its center and creates a wave, it starts with plasma Aries, and the end of the wave ends with water Pisces. And when you understand all those 12 different states of energy along every wave or pulse of the universe, you have mastered the whole universe. It's a 12ness, not a 2ness. So Stan Tenen, I can't claim anything that I know and teach as original. Neither can he. The Torah that he teaches is actually the torus field. So when you're a good student and you go to the mystery school and you learn about the Torah, you're learning about the torus field. Simple. Magnetism. God.
But nowadays in Israel, they just teach you about Torahism, because they're just so good at it. Okay, it's like I wonder as well the ramifications of this, because you see people who are creating free energy devices off of toroidal field principles, more or less, and they're able to create free energy devices. They're able to create stuff that runs on water. They're able to create all sorts of things. And yet what happens is you get shut down, or some freaking oil company exec comes in and buys it out or whatever. And I've been looking at this lately, and I've been watching a lot of people who've been very, very depressed lately about the truth movement and about everything, really. Even Tolkien himself, the author of The Lord of the Rings, I just learned that he's also a very big pessimist, and that history itself is recorded as merely a sequence of failures to become free. And I'm starting to see the wisdom in that idea there. You know what I'm saying? It's starting to make me think that there's something wrong with the way that we're going about things, the way that we're resisting tyranny, that sort of thing. I was like, On the points we agree, we can come together and collaborate. But on the points that we disagree, sometimes we can table those discussions for another time, like a time that we're not under the threat of enslavement and subsequent extermination by ruthless criminal sociopathic scumbaggery. No, I like that. But people often can't work together, and we're often very easily divided and infiltrated and so on and so forth. And we're currently in a time now which I think is the most confusing time ever. You don't know who to trust. Everybody's paranoid. Everybody's making up accusations about that kind of thing. And you're getting to the point where it's so confusing, just in general, all of these things that we're just trying to discover, that people just go, no, it's too hard, and they just switch off entirely. What would your advice be to somebody who's like feeling like switching off because it's so too complicated with everybody, disagreeing with each other and
Well, I'd just keep persisting, because eventually, if you're seeking the truth in your heart, you'll find the truth. I insist on uncovering the truth. So I don't know to what degree I've done that, because there's a lot to uncover. But hey, I'm on that road, and I'm going to get there. So yeah, there's a lot of noise. There's always distractors, people who I would call false prophets, leading people astray. I mean, with everything I teach, there's always the the naysayers. I've got all the all the subjects that this world, the established world, absolutely hates: astrology, healing, self-determination, sovereignty, geocentric, true flat Earth cosmology, astrology, philosophy. All these things are scorned upon. So I'm living totally an outcast, totally. But I take courage, as Jesus said, take courage, for I have conquered the world. This world has nothing for me, not even the desire to eat. Right now I'm on my 58th day of fasting. That's why I look so thin. I'm the thinnest I've ever been. 58 days of liquid fasting, and I was supposed to die after 30 days of not eating, wasn't I? Oh, you'll die in kindergarten. You're going to die if you don't eat 30 days. They put the fear in you that you need to be a consumer, and they call you that. Oh, the consumers demand more, blah, 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 whatever. So they train you to think like a consumer. Well, I'm not a typical consumer anymore, because I don't go to the movies. I don't buy their shit. I don't buy their food. Grow my own, eat my own food, go to local organic places, have done for years and years and years. Don't go to their doctors. Don't vote for them. Don't do any of their bullshit. Heal myself, and I don't eat their foods. So I'm no typical consumer, me. So I've discovered that eat is right there hiding in the word death, because that's what it is. It's a death cult, and it's a gluttonous. Everyone listening, everyone is a glutton. Why? Because you're eating gluten. Gluten is where glutton comes from. The Romans put gluten, and lots of it, your white breads, they gave all their soldiers the white bread because it's stupid food. It's glue, and it glues up your intestines and makes you all glued up. It doesn't. Fruit, we are frugivores, herbivore frugivores, human beings. So if you're going to put diesel in a petrol car, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and have animals and vegetables and nuts and seeds and all of those squirrel food. But the true food of humanity is frugivore, herbivore, period. Why? Because it's the only food that digests in 20 minutes. Vegetables ferment, animal putrefies, fruit digests. We're looking for digestion, not fermentation and all of that, those farts and burps that, that our diets give us, and all of this vegan, paleo, vegetarian bullshit. They're all bullshit because they're all eating themselves to death. So what I discovered is that's where they get you, hook, line and sinker. They give you glue to glue up your GI tract, gluten to make you a glutton, tell you that you can have putrefying dead corpses, fermenting vegetables with cellulose that do not digest in the human organism. Don't know why we eat them. Because we're stupid, totally stupid. And you can see everyone's sick, all of them, vegans alike, paleo, keto, all of these false prophet bullshit artists. What they should be saying is that humanity is ready for the water baptism, which means liquidarian, because after the water baptism comes the baptism of spirit, breatharian. And then after the spirit baptism comes the fire baptism. Fire, as we know, is plasma, pulse. The plasma baptism where we eat the ether. That's what we're supposed to be eating. But what we've done is we've slipped out of the ether, through the plasma, into the gaseous, liquid, solid state with bones and flesh, and we've decided, oh, look at that, there's a lion eating an animal's bum. I think animal bums in our diet. Let's eat some pigs and eat their bums. Oh, we're clever people. It tastes like cuisine, doesn't it? And let's go to the doctor for our reflux and our piles and arthritis and bowel cancer for all the bums we've been eating. Whereas, you see, not only should we be going liquidarian and breatharian and plasmaarian and ether-eat-arian, we got to say goodbye to all this gluttony, guys. Time to say goodbye, because every single person listening to this right now, if you haven't done a 40-day fast of just liquids, you're full of shit. I was full of shit. And how do I know? Because even this morning, I went to the toilet. I haven't had anything solid for 58 days. 50 kilos here, very underweight, which is about 105 pounds to you Americans. Still going to the toilet every day, some days with diarrhea, guys. On the 12th day of my fast, I passed a cyst, the size of a tissue. Looked like a miscarriage. I nearly died that morning. For 4 hours, I couldn't breathe. I thought, I've got to stop this fasting bullshit. 12 days of fasting. I'm going to kill myself. I planned after the toilet, so I was going to start eating again. I don't give a shit. Fasting is not for me. Well, went to the toilet, passed this golf ball. It was a cyst. It was an ulcer. It's been in there for decades, guys. It was something obstructing. Now I feel so peaceful in the gut. Everything is functioning. I'm getting my mind's working better. The energy I've got is just absolutely irresistible. I wake up like zipping. So for 58 days, I haven't had anything solid, right? Get this, I want people to hear this clearly. I'm going to stress this and labour this. Where has all that elimination, evacuation I've been doing for 58 days straight come from? A 50-kilo man. I'm not getting thinner. I'm stabilising at 50 kilos. I've done 58 days. So where's all that poo coming from, guys? We're full of shit. I'm a 50-kilo man. Most men are double my size. Let me tell you, they're full of shit. Toxemic and full of shit. Totally. And unless we purify our temples, folks, you're going to be looping around in cycles of reincarnation, eating all sorts of gross things called cuisine and diets till kingdom come. No worries. You keep eating. Looping around, coming back to this hellhole.
Well, I found that my wife's mother did a lot of fasting. I think she did a 40-day fast, and she was morbidly obese. She had, what was it? Had knees messed up and stuff like that. She could barely walk around. She's on heart medication, and she dropped all her weight. No more heart medication, and her knees are fine now after like a 40-day fast. Pretty extraordinary what it actually can do for somebody. And I'm wondering, though, is that just something like we should do as if Ramadan, for instance, how the people in Persia and Arabia do it, is 1 month out of every year you stop eating and you fully do a big fast the whole month, just to make sure that you're clearly cleared out of shit,
Yep, that's the principle behind it. I don't know that they do it accurately, though, because what I think they do is they do eat something like fruits and vegetables, light stuff in the evenings, and they just fast during the day for that month. Not sure. I think there's different degrees of fasting, but that is the principle. Fasting is a holy, sacred practice. And in the abstinence of fasting, you are becoming a Saint George, a Saint Michael, who slays the dragon. The dragon is the serpent, the devil of lust, who says, oh, eat that cake. It's going to be delicious. You need to be comforted. You deserve it. Sit down, have a latte, and just eat that fat, that glue. Go on. You give yourself a treat. Be pampered. No. When you fast, for a start, you lose your hunger after the third day. So I don't know what hunger is anymore. I don't get hungry. What I do is I get low energy and I just grab a juice and just go. And the moment it hits my tongue, that sweet fruit, sucrose, fructose, and glucose. I was going to say gluten. I had a brain. Glucose and fructose. They are 50% each of sucrose. That is our energy. Carbohydrates. 80% carbohydrates is our diet. 10 protein, 10 fat. That's the true human diet. So if you put hydrocarbons in your car, well, why don't you put carbohydrates in your body? Because it runs cars pretty good. No, but they want you to have fats because fats will slow you down. And they want you to have protein because protein is like for boneheads. It's an animal food. It's like it's the building stuff. Carbs is energy. It's carbon. We are 18% carbon. And we need hydrogen and oxygen. That's carbohydrates because we're 90% of that. It's logical. But when you listen to the white coats, they will spin their bullshit for the meat industry and the cheese dairy industry and for all of those industries that give them donations and support and finance. Oh, yeah, they'll tell you all sorts of bullshit. Yeah, you need pig bum. Support the pigs and everything. And people are stupid. And so they don't realise, hey, look, if it's only fruit that digests in 20 minutes and digests, whereas no other food, no seed, no nut, never, ever, ever, no vegetable, except for their juice and their oils that you can extract and use, digest. They ferment. So why do you want fermentation, which is candida, which is fungus, which is parasites, which is acidity, which is cancer, mucus, and toxemia? You have to live a mucusless diet. It's obvious. And that's fruit. Look at me. I've got all sorts of beautiful things in this. Pawpaw, pineapple, apple. There is no shortage of abundance here in Queensland. I've got all the fruits. I've got herbs. I put parsley in there. I do juice vegetables and make broths from vegetables, but I do not eat them. I eat nothing. I am liquidarian 100%. 100%. Because it is the fuel for humans. It absolutely is the fuel. And there's no argument. I mean, you can sit there and say, oh, yes, but I love my food. I used to say that. Oh, I don't know. I've said it 1,000 times. I don't know whether I'll ever be a breatharian because I love eating. I love risottos. I love roast potatoes. But When you fast, you lose all that and you become a St. George because you are slaying your desires. Desires don't creep around anymore. And you're not sitting there working going, oh, I'm hungry. Oh, I feel like a burger or some roast potatoes. None of those urges, unless I conjure them up, unless I say, yeah, I remember what it was like to have roast potatoes with beautiful, creamy sauce or whatever, or a risotto with mushrooms and asparagus. Unless I do that, it doesn't happen. I don't have that boss anymore. The hunger demon is not there anymore. You eliminate those demons, folks. And besides, cooked food is angry food. It gives you anger. Raw food is the opposite. Nothing wrong with anger. You need anger. Anger comes from Agni. Agni is fire, Igni, to ignite. So anger, Agni, you need the fire. But if you're only having cooked food, you're always angry. And you're always angry is the energy you need to build a house. So you do need it. But you have to understand this. Raw food is how you get away from doing and you go into being. So both are useful. Cooking food is also good if you know what you're doing. It's alchemical. But you don't want to just be a cooked food person, all right? Then again, if you're going to insist that you need to eat and you need your cooked food, well, I'd make soups and try and drink as much food as possible. The wetter your food, the longer you live. The drier and the more cooked your food, the shorter you live.
I wonder as well, though, human diet changed for a long period of time there, and brain function gets massively stimulated by meats and eggs and things like that. So I was wondering, like, are there any people who are on a full liquid diet who are, making great scientific discoveries and all of those other kind of stuff that require all that top-tier brain function, and how can we actually do that? Because it's interesting, though, there's a lot of real smart people who develop a lot of interesting things that are really good for humanity, but they themselves are actually really unhealthy, But
well,
at the same time, their stuff is benefiting humanity. So it's like, I wonder how our consciousness is actually affected by the change of diet. And I think Mark Passio himself is transitioned to a vegan diet over a long period of time, and now he swears by it and that kind of thing. And then I watched other videos, and what's difficult is you've got a lot of variables in play, I think, like hundreds, thousands of different variables when it comes to somebody's diet, what their DNA is, their ancestry, and all of that kind of stuff. And how can we be sure which diet is absolutely the best for absolutely everybody, without meeting them or asking them any questions or anything like that? It's kind of like reckless advice,
It's easy. When you buy a car, you look in the manual, it tells you this is a petrol car. So you don't go to the browser and say, petrol browser and say, look, I'm intelligent and I've got free choice. I'm going to choose to put diesel in this car today because it's my choice to be fruitarian or vegan. All these smart people with their stupid diets, they're all dying. They all look like, and all of them, not one of them look like, hey, gee, I want to do the vegan diet because that vegan looks good, or the vegetarian, or the paleo, or any of them. They all look fat, ugly, toxic, and stupid. All of them. All these diet pushers. All of them. They're all morons. Trust me. You go to the manual and it says petrol. So you put petrol in it because you don't choose. You don't use your free will and your free choice. It's bullshit. Yeah, and you don't say, oh, well, the squirrels eat nuts and blah, blah. You look at the human being. And first you fast. See, there's people who switch over from meat to vegetarian and they fail after 6 months. Of course you're going to fail. You've set yourself up for failure. First you have to fast for 40 days, clean all the shit out of your body from your bad diet. Then your body will receive the new diet that you're supposed to be having. Because, put it this way, If you get a pile of newspaper and it's soaking wet, and you've got this tin of petrol, and you've got this tin of petrol, and you know someone told you that one bit of petrol will light a whole bundle of newspaper. Trust me. All right, so you get there and you pour all this petrol over the newspaper, and you light it up. It goes, and then within seconds it dies out, and the newspapers didn't get burnt at all. They got a bit singed because the newspapers, they're already full of liquid, which is inflammable. So it's not going to receive the petrol and be burned and consumed and digest. So if you're going from a beef diet and eating bum to a vegan and then you fail up, you're good luck. You deserve to fail because you're a effing idiot. You got a clean house. And I don't think 40 days is enough. It's not enough for me, a 50-kilo man, let alone you, the listener, who's 150 kilos and got an ass like about that freaking big, and it's all full of poo. I'm not trying to offend you. Maybe I can hurt your ego, but not your soul. As a brother, I'm giving you the most loving advice. Stop eating because you're full of shit and you're dying. I promise you, you'll be dead soon, whoever you are that's eating. So with me, I have an issue where I've had an itch for 10 years, and it's been absolute torture, and I still have the itch. Now, I had some problem with root canals because stupid me, I went to dentists. So I've had four of them removed, 2 on this side and 2 on this side that nearly killed me. One in 2004, my face was like this, and then another one in 2006. And I had them ripped out, and the dentist said, they've been toxic for years, you should have been dead. So I know I've got one more left. So I've taken this fast out beyond 40 days, which was my original goal, and to see what would happen with my weight. Because a lot of people, they stop fasting after 3 weeks and they say, oh, I got too skinny and it looked scary and everything. Don't worry about that. You know, this is where people stop the healing process. If I didn't fast for 12 days, that cyst wouldn't have come out. And the moment I passed that cyst, I felt so good. Nearly died previous to it. Felt so good that I realized this is big. So I kept on my fast. And then I remember the 30th day, I had diarrhea all day long. It was incredible. And the 40th day as well. Now it's 58 days, and I'm still on that 50 kilos. I'm not getting thinner. So, but I've got a dentist appointment on the 30th of this month, April, and to remove this. So I'm drawing this out until then and to see what happens with the itch, because I've still got the itch. Now, this itch, I've spoken about it publicly for the last year. It's been torture. I've had sleep deprivation, and you can see the way I've looked in the last 10 years in my presentations that I have been unwell. Now, I've tried to isolate what it is, and I've had many, many thousands of people, very helpful, and with their advice and their experience. But I believe it's a combination of many things, okay? Mold for sure, mold. And probably weaponized mold, which has been used for thousands of years by the elite with all the plagues and the smallpox that they brought over to the Americas, etc., etc. They have always, the Spanish flu, they've always weaponized viruses and bugs and stuff like that. I got bitten by a tick in 2016, the end of 2017, and that got worse, the itching. So, and then there's also EMF energy. I'm very sensitive to those. I know that. And so some people are direct targeted individuals where they have pulse weapons causing itching, like I'm getting. And so this itch, what happens is, it's very intelligent. It's an insidious, diabolical, unrelenting, sinister itch, which is intelligent, very intelligent. It knows when you're going horizontal and and your body temperature's lowering and you're about to snooze. And then you just start itching. It's in your ear, it's under your arm, it's all over your body. and it's hectic. And the only thing I can do, last night I had the itch. At midnight, I had to have a bath. So what I do is I make a concoction of apple cider vinegar and salt and Lugol's iodine and bicarb soda. Watch out with the bicarb soda because it makes the apple cider vinegar fizz, so you have to do it slowly. You get those 4 ingredients in an apple cider vinegar bottle. The Celtic sea salt, the iodine, make sure it's the Lugol's because it tinges the apple cider vinegar. And then you pour that on your body. And when you pour it on your body, everything is stinging because the mold, the nanoparticles, the weaponized mold, interacts with the frequencies. That's why they want 5G. 4G just started to stimulate that mold, the weaponized mold. Okay, we've all got these nanoparticles in us, guys. It's the Internet of Things, okay? So don't think, oh, yeah, I remember hearing about Morgellons 12 years ago, and I thought, oh, well, those poor people, you know, they've got fibres coming out of their skin and they're itching. Oh, boy. Little did I think, because I was looking for fibres, and I was looking for lesions and welts. Nothing. The only thing I get is cuts from scratching in the morning. You know, I'll find a scar, a cut, but I won't see any welts. I won't see any evidence on my skin. So during the day, people see me and they go, what's this itch you're talking about? You're not scratching. You know, that's the thing. During the day, mostly, it leaves you alone. And then at night, you're like a mad dog with rabies. And I've had this unrelenting since 2007, since I woke up. But after jail in 2004, 2015, and 14, 15, got worse. Absolutely intensified to the point where, I mean, it used to come and go, you know, 3 days a week, 2 days a week, and it would leave me alone the other days. Now it's 7 days a week, 6 days a week. So I know a lot of people have contacted me about root canals. This last one might be the one that needs to come out for the itching. But the reason I'm saying this is this thinness and everything like that, it's for healing. Once the body has evacuated all those toxins from the cellular level and the lymphatic system is drained into the intestines, which are now empty, because you're not pushing food through your intestines and it's not compacting the plaque, the mucoid plaque onto the intestinal walls further, it dries up and it falls off the intestinal walls. So now you can receive the nutrients, the vitamins and minerals, the serotonin and the melatonin from your intestines because the villi now, they're opening up. They're starting to drink. So my skin has improved. It's much more hydrated, but I still have the itch and I've still got a ways to go. So when I stop eliminating, I'm waiting to see when that will be, then I know that the body will have reset. And once it resets, then you go back to what the manual says the human diet is, which is frugivore. And herbs are fruit. So I always say herbivore, frugivore, but they are the same thing. So get out in your garden, chew those dandelions, the plantago. Chew those herbs in your garden. Masticate them and swallow them. Drink your food. Eat your liquid. I've always heard that ever since I was a little boy. Drink your food. Eat your liquid. You should not be eating. Your teeth are for chewing and turning because you need the saliva. Digestion starts here. Whatever you're doing, whether you're drinking or whatever, you don't gulp anything down. You sip it, mix your saliva. So this is a smoothie here. I've got a smoothie in here. So this is already pre-digested, but you still need that saliva. And once you mix it with saliva, all your organs recognize that food not as foreign because it's got your DNA on it, and the saliva kicks off the digestion process. And if you're drinking your way to health, it bypasses the stomach. My stomach has had a rest for 58 days, shut down, because I'm drinking all the nutrients, all the minerals are going straight into the cells. It's called cell feeding. And you bypass the digestive process. And so now all the cells are being fed. And they are now breathing properly and eliminating. So the elimination that I'm getting is from the brain. It's from the lungs. It's all the mucus in the tissue. It's in the cells. So I've got to get all of that out. And I've got to dry right up. So I've got a lot of tips for people. I won't be able to share them all here today, but you can contact me as to there are things you need to know. You don't just go out and just do a fast, and because people like me who were already sick and had precondition, like already underweight, itching, and all of these problems, you don't want to do a water fast. You need nourishment. You need to learn how to make broths, teas, herbal infusions, especially for the kidney, liver, and digestion. Those three need support. You need herbs, drink a lot of teas with distilled water only. And the other tip I give is learn intermittent fasting. Whether you are an eater, a drinker, a faster, or whoever you are, you need to give your body a rest every day. Now, minimum should be 12 hours. Nothing goes in here for 12 hours, guys. So when you have your last meal at 6 o'clock in the evening, don't be drinking a tea in the evening. Don't touch anything. You have to dry fast. And eventually, when you do this every day, you can take it out from 12 to 16 hours. 16 is the best. I do every day, 16 hours. Nothing enters my mouth except for breath, prana. So it trains you also to get more energy from the baptism of spirit, the air, the prana, the chi, the pneuma, pneumatic breathing. Okay? So that trains you when you do the dry fasting. And I take my dry fastings out to 36 hours now. Once a week, I'm a breatharian for 36 hours. I just stop looking at anything to drink, and it's beautiful. It's the best rest you give your mind, because you don't have to go thinking, oh, cup of coffee, a turmeric latte, oh, should I make a tea, oh, a smoothie with banana. St. George, slay that dragon, desire, stop being a consumer. Live for yourself. It's through fasting that you meditate, that you do yoga, that you do spiritual ascension, that you grow, sublimate. It's through fasting that you have dreams and visions. Knowledge comes to you. Past lives, memory, deja vu. Syncretism, working things out. Syncretism came to me the year I went vegetarian, 2008. It came to me. I was eating bums before that. I was a bum eater. Yeah, bacon, eggs, oh yeah, all that shit. No syncretism. The moment I went vegetarian, all the syncretism I know now started pouring in. The day it happened. That's why I say to people, where do you start your journey, Santos? The spiritual journey. Stop eating bum. We were not meant to eat bum. Lions eat bum. Not even gorillas eat them. Elephants, cows, horses. And they've got plenty of horsepower. All they eat is grass because they're not stupid. They don't go to the car, get a diesel car and put petrol in it and blow their motor up. A horse doesn't eat rodents. If it runs out of hay, it dies because that's it. There's no grass left. It doesn't go around looking for butterflies to eat out of the air because it's food. Yes, we can eat vegetables and they'll ferment and putrefy in your gut and you'll get benefit out of them. No problem. But why put inferior food? If you go to the petrol station and they say 20 cents a litre for really, really shit petrol, or $1 a litre for good petrol, you get more mileage and your car will last longer. Well, you see the people who put the expensive petrol in their car, you see their cars lasting vintage for 40, 50 years. They polish their car. They never put shit in their car. And then you see these idiots who go and buy a car and they don't know what fuel. They get the cheapest one. And then after 2 years, they need to get a new car. Humans are frugivore, period. But don't go saying, oh, Santos said, oh, we're frugivore. I'm going to go on it. That's it. I'm going just on fruit and herbs now. No, fast. So now what I say to people is not stop eating animals and all of those nuts and seeds, and stop eating. Not stop eating animals. Stop eating. Do yourself a favor. Start living. Eating is absolutely slowing you right down from all your potential.
Well, I'm getting to the point now in my life where a lot of people are coming at me with all this dietary advice and that kind of thing. And because my diet's so freaking poor, my brain's not working quite so well as perhaps it should in order to make clear decisions in the first fucking place. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, God, what do I do? And I was just like thinking, if there is a reason, you know, beyond diet for why we do what we do, you know, am I doing this just so I can make money to get food, you know, for instance? And the answer is, well, no, there's a purpose to my existence, is to try and stop humanity from getting frickin' exterminated, you know. I consider exposing scumbaggery to be kind of like a job that you could never get fired from, or rather a job that there would always be plenty of it to do, you know. It's just it's very unlikely, for instance, that we're just going to run out of scumbaggery all of a sudden. Like, what? Where did it all go? No, that's not quite how scumbaggery works. You know, lies, deception, and mistruth, friggin' everywhere all the time. And jumping from the the health aspect of this. I was thinking, psychologically speaking, you know, how do people actually find transitioning from one diet to the other, you know, is there difficulties in dealing with stress or anything like that, Santos?
Yeah, look, I've never ever, I've had a lot of diets. All my life I've been conscious of diet. My mother always used to buy brown sugar, brown bread. She was very conscious for her generation of the immigrant Italians that migrated in the 50s. So I was born in 63, grew up in the 60s there, and I guess it was a lot healthier back then, but Mum was a little bit extra switched on. All my cousins, they all had white bread and, you know, lemonade. They were drinking the sugary, gassy drinks with their food. Mum would not let us have that. No sugar, no. She caught me with a packet of juicy fruit chewing gums once, and I was so punished. So I was always conscious of my health. So I went on the Eat Right for Your Blood Type diet, John D'Adamo, in the 80s. I was doing the blood type diet, me being A positive. I was not eating a lot of red meats and following that diet. I've done the Fit for Life diet before that, where you don't mix your alkalines and your acids. So in the 80s, I was doing the Fit for Life. In the 90s, the John D'Adamo. Then in 2000, I went vegetarian. But I was pescatarian before that. I was experimenting. And every diet I did, every supplement I took, they helped. You go on a diet, it's good for a month. You think, oh, it's vegetarian. But then after a while, it goes back. Everything goes back. It goes back to your levels of toxicity. Remember how much water is on those papers, on those newspapers. If they're dry, they'll burn with a cup of fuel. But if they're wet, no use putting any more fuel on it. You've got to wait till it dries. So fast all the shit out of your body. You've been eating so much poo. These days, people, you can see them. They go to these junk food places. You can see them eat poo, then they go to the toilet and they're shitting out poo, and that's all they're doing, eating and pooing, eating and pooing, eating and pooing. I don't want to be wiping my ass for the rest of eternity. I don't want to be a poo doer. I want to be a urinator. I don't want to be doing shit and doing poo for all these sewer industry. You don't need sewer industry. You don't need a contraceptive industry. You don't need an abortion industry. If young men knew how to have white tantric sex like I do, where you implode the orgasm rather than exploding it all over your partners and causing unwanted pregnancies and venereal diseases and who knows what other shit, you don't need contraceptives or abortions or sewers if you live the way I do. You don't even need shops and shop food. I don't know what shop food is. I see it when I go to the shops and I think, do people buy that plastic shit? Who's putting that in their bodies? Well, you look around, you see all the fat asses and all the dumb idiots around, and you can see who is. So when you look at these guys who say, oh, vegetarian diet is, yeah, it's true, it's superior, but it's still a diet. You're still eating shit, cellulose, and packing it in your GI tract and gluing it, and so that the digestion has to freaking pull up all of these hydrochloric acid, potassium chloride, sodium chloride, mix it up, digest it, break it down, send it into the duodenum, then from the duodenum into the intestines. All the villi suck what they want, and then it goes into the bowels, and the bowels pull out, extract further liquid, and then you pull all that shit out and it stinks like a graveyard. You want to do all that stink forever? You really like going to the shop and buying piles of toilet paper? Yeah, I'm done with being a poo doer. So that's going to be the difference between me and others. You do poo, I don't do poo.
Well, I've got to think about this as well, because if you're trying to, make the world a better place, is attacking everybody else for their shortcomings the best way to go about that?
No, but it's, well, I mean, we've already attacked the education system, right, and the people in it. People who are listening to this and want help, they're not going to be offended. If I'm going to be teaching them how to improve, say, their sovereignty, their status, and contrast how stupid it is to stay in the fictional world of commerce but go into God's world of sovereignty and freedom, well, what are you going to do?
Well, if I may, the point I was raising there is the difference between ignorance and nascience. In some cases the information's out there, you just haven't been presented with it. But in some cases you've been presented with the information, you've deliberately ignored it, and that's the distinction that I make. When if people are living lives that I personally don't approve of, I don't know their situation. I don't know whether or not they've been encountered the truth and completely ignored it, or whether or not this is their first time hearing this kind of information, that sort of thing. So I found the gentle, do you know this, do you know that, rather than throwing umpteen bunches of different people that I don't know under the bus.
Yep, true. But see, I'm not naming someone, The listeners, if their ears are sensitive, well, I mean, that's going to happen, probably because they already have made a decision that their gluttonous lifestyle and doing poo suits them. It doesn't suit me. I'm telling people what I want to do. I want to free myself from shit, eating it and doing it and speaking it. And I find that people who are on diets, all of them, they all speak a lot of shit. Comes out here, you can smell it. They all stink. They're all foul. Vegans, a lot of them, all of them. Because they still think that they need to be consumers and they think they need to eat, you see? Because they see teeth and they think, oh, yeah, but your teeth will fall out if you don't chew. Well, then chew. Oh, yes, but you've got an anus and you've got a stomach. Yes, there's always little particles that slip by that haven't been fractionated. That's why the world is going nanoparticle, guys. Because so's your body. It's already made for nanoparticles, liquid. The nutrients in liquid, broken down. You can't swallow lumps of food and expect that to just flow through your GI tract. There's too much traveling to do. It's too much pushing. And that's why people have got piles. Oh, go ahead and get offended. It'll be people with piles who get offended. Their ass is itching. I've never had a pile in my life, but you see them scratching their asses. I'm trying to help them. And they're the ones with ulcers. Oh, I can't heal this ulcer. Well, if you've got a sore on your face here, and every day you scratch it, it's never going to heal. So if you've got an ulcer in your stomach, and every day you eat, that food just goes, scratches it again, and you bleed. Next meal, bacon. And then you're pushing that out of your ass, bacon. Good luck to your piles, guys, whoever you are. But you are what you eat. I was a bum because I used to eat bum. And that's it. There's no other way around it. You can't think I'm an animal eater and I'm not a bum.
But now you eat nothing, so what are you now?
I'm nobody. I'm a nothing, so I'm a nobody. I don't need anything. But the point is, Vinny, obviously, think about it. Every time you drink, instantly you get energy. But when you eat, what happens is it's not energy you get gratification because your hunger goes. And you put a solid food in your mouth and it goes straight down here, and then the memory of hunger goes with your first mouth, and you think that's energy. It's not energy. It has to digest first. All the energy goes into the stomach. Energy gets diverted for 2 hours in digestion. You don't have energy instantly when you eat. When you drink, you do. It's nanoparticles, folks. It goes straight to the cell, bypasses all the work and goes to the cell where originally it was going to end up anyway. That's where it's destined. All food particles have to get smashed all the way down to nano to get into the cell membrane. So why don't you start with nano when you put it in your mouth instead of masticating bacon, which will never digest. It will only ferment, putrefy, and rot and perish and cause all the sicknesses that all you meat eaters have got. Look at yourselves in the mirror. Look in the mirror. I mean, I'm happy that I've survived many of my contemporaries who died with cancer and bowel, this and that, in their 30s and 40s. I'm 56. Okay, I'm 56, and the energy I've got, I can run around 18-year-olds. My partner, Violet, she's 25, and she struggles to keep up with me, if you know what I mean, okay? So, if you want to be incompetent and incontinent and eating, that's what I say. I've discovered this is the ultimate truth, and I'm a truth teller. So I've always been, I've always been very, very, probably forceful in my messages, when I discover how true they are, because it frees me so much that I want to free everybody else. I don't have to do this, I don't have to share all these beautiful things, but I want to. And like you said, this, you wake up in the morning and there's so many scumbags that you just want to, it's your calling. You just want to destroy these scumbags. So every day you want to interview someone that's going to have some sort of information that will destroy their lying world of eating.
I don't know. It's a little bit different for me. It's more like an antioxidant. What do I mean by that? Well, an antioxidant runs through the bloodstream, much like free radicals do. And what free radicals do is they age things, because humans die for the same reasons machines do. We oxidize, we rust. One second. Hello, I'm live on the radio right now. Call back in a couple of hours, please. Thank you. Bye-bye. So anyway, what was I talking about? Yes. We oxidize, we rust, and we die, more or less, because free radicals thieve electrons from our cells. Okay, they're wandering around your bloodstream, they're wandering around the air, and they see one of your cells that has these free electrons, kind of thing, and it comes over to them and it snatches it off and it walks away. Ha! That's mine now. And then later on, a antioxidant comes along, and what they've got is they've got an abundance of electrons, and they find these little damaged cells and things like that, and they see this little cell in the corner go, stole my electron. and then the antioxidant comes along and they go, oh mate, are you okay? Oh dude, come here, I'll give you a little bit of a hug, that kind of thing. And he donates some of his electrons. And then that cell gets restored back to his full self and his energy and that kind of thing. And then he goes back to his normal function throughout the body. Now, what I'm thinking of is that an activist is much like that antioxidant, and a psychopath is much like that free radical, and the people in the middle are much like those cells that are getting damaged and need healing. All I'm trying to do is heal those that have been damaged by the worst elements of society. I'm not trying to destroy them, because destruction's their game.
Yeah, that's bad wording. I just, because I didn't expect to say that, I just threw it in like that. But you know what I mean. we're going to offer ourselves in service for the truth. We're going to do that, you know. So I'm always in a dichotomous world where I love my philosophical, mystical life that I have here in the forest up in Queensland. I'm enjoying the trees and the green life and the relaxation. I've got the beach 10 minutes up the road. I go to the beach, get that solar energy. I do a lot of solar work out the back here. But then I get drawn onto the social, the internet, the social media, and connected with the work I do and continue teaching the syncretism. Why? Well, because people are waking up, and I get contacted, as you do yourself, every day, and all the truth tellers out there getting contacted saying thank you for your service. Thank you for what you do. You know, I've had countless tens of thousands of people over the last decade writing to me, thanking me for their vegetarian lifestyle, for the syncretism, for their bodies being alkaline now and their ascension process. They're all having Kundalini experiences. They're all awakening. They're all becoming sovereign. Many people are waking up, and every day I get encouraged by the great letters of thank you from people who are transforming their lives. With syncretism, their lives are transformed because they don't get entertained. There's no entertainment value. Well, I throw in a bit of entertainment value with my, you know, Aryan, Leo rising, Calabrian, you know, input when I like to be, energize the subject and make it humorous and entertaining. But it's all instructional. It's all for the benefit. It's all beneficial. Every 10 minutes of every presentation of mine that you watch, you're actually adding 10 minutes of profound syncretic knowledge, which gives you aha moments to your already great, vast base of knowledge that you have. Syncretism will only complement what you already have and give you the full keys of understanding of everything in nature. And the great secret which you will learn, which you must learn, which is the magician's trick, is how to manipulate magic or magnetism. That's it. It's through manipulating magnetism that magic happens. Because in the torus field of magnetism, it is a reciprocating energy. Now, reciprocating energy coming from the central point of counter space, energy always does this. There's nowhere in nature where energy goes like this and shoots off one way. It's always the unity is broken into a dyad. This is where the monad, which is an anagram for Adam, monad, Adam, atom, the indivisible unit, Adam and Eve. Adam is the atom, the unit. Eve is even, the even numbers. Okay? Atom is the pulse magnetic energy of the universe. Eve is the electrical wave. That's what Eve means. It's hiding in the word wave. That's why Eve is evil, because the wave, the transverse Hertzian wave, hurts. The longitudinal Tesla wave is magnetism. So when you learn that energy goes like this in an 8, like this, in an 8, and it comes from that central point, always divides like that, creates 2 torus vortexes, and then goes back and loops into itself. The secret is not in the reciprocation. The secret is in the precession of energy. The rotating magnetic field has a precession rate in it. And I think it's 42 point something. See the work of Ken Wheeler on his YouTube channel, Theoria Apotheosis, and he explains that precessional rate. It's called the Lemur frequency, or gyromagnetic precession. All magicians, astrologers, alchemists know that that is the secret of all secrets. Because that reciprocating torus field, hyperbolic torus field, remember that word there, because inside the torus field is the inverse of the torus field, the hyperbola. That bowl, hyperbole, that bowl, that's Baal, the god Baal, Bel, the beautiful. Because the Bel form, the beautiful bellicose form of the torus field, reciprocating, is also precessing. And that's why we have precession of the equinoxes, because our cosmos is a torus field. And as Stan Tenen teaches in his apple model of the universe with his hand thing, he opens his apple model, and in the middle he's got dissected a disc, and he says that is the flat earth. Hebrew scholar Stan Tenen, that is the flat earth. It's inside the big apple. Our universe is a torus field, apple. It's the big apple. Okay? And the tree of life is the hyperbola in the middle, at the North Pole of our earth. It's a big apple. Okay? And that bowl, that is the word that we have for energy, ballistic, Baal, bellicose, belligerent. It's a warmongering energy. Okay? So you need to know 4 things about torus fields. Everyone calls them toruses, 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 toruses. And Ken Wheeler says you can't talk about the torus field unless you include its other half, the hyperbola. It's a hyperbolic or a hyperboloid torus. What does he call it? 4 words. Reciprocating precessional hyperboloid torus. Master that. Learn that. Because when you adjust and manipulate the frequency of that precession, now you have what they call anti-gravity devices, free energy and true 0-point pulse energy. Okay? So, how you get that is understanding your spiritual nature, that you are a pulse. It's a digital pulse universe expressed through waves. So when they say particle wave universe, forget that. It's pulse wave. Pulse wave. A particle is a pulse. A plasma pulse. Same word. And as it pulsates, like your heart pulsates, dum dum, Adam, adum, dum dum, dum dum. That's where the Adam is. Okay? So I have a thymus gland. Thymus is Thomas. Adam, the twin. Because in the word atom, you've got unit, but if you take the A away, you're left with Tom. Well, Thomas is the twin. So it's teaching you that that unit of energy, which is God's unconditioned, unlimited conscious energy, when it expresses itself, it divides into 2 and creates a torus field. And it reciprocates forever. But in that reciprocation, that precession is where the magic is. If the precession is fast, time is fast. You see, 2,750 years ago, all the cultures of the earth amended their calendars from 360 days a year to 365 and a quarter. Whoops. How the hell did that happen 2,750 years ago, around the time Rome was founded? The Mayans did, they all did. They all added these extra 5 days. The Egyptians then added them to the end of the year and called them holy days, holidays. And they are 5 sacred holidays that all cultures have. And all of a sudden, the year went from 360 days, exactly as is the degrees of a cycle, same word. And they realized that something went wrong. And there was a fall. That was what happened. Was the archons, the controllers of this universe, slowed down the precession rate of the sidereal system, which is what we'd call the Kuiper belt, or possibly even the Van Allen belt, or the ionic sphere. What happens is that has a rate to it, and that is the timing of our universe. So supposedly something happened. It could have been some flood or some magnetic devastation and caused the toroidal outer field to slow down. So they slowed, the inner firmament of the sun. So the sun now is doing 365 and a quarter rotations and 5 extra rotations than the firmament above it, which is they're two separate toroidal fields. Put it that way. Let's keep it simple. There's torus fields nested inside of torus fields. One's called the firmament, one's called the dome. There's different names for these different, and even scientists will tell you there's a Van Allen belt, then there's the asteroid belt, then there's the Kuiper belt, and then there's this belt and another belt. They are these torus belts, okay? So the archons, whoever came and infested this plane with demonic activity, killing, ritual child sacrificing, and all of this people trafficking going on in the world right now, when they overturned our peaceful Renaissance days of Europe. That's what the Renaissance was, folks. It wasn't only a couple hundred years, it was 1,000 years of Tartarian peace. And they came along and they fought a war against it and won. And now they're still in control. What they did was they adjusted the difference between the two. They adjusted the gyromagnetic precessional rate. That's why we have two astrological systems. The tropical western system, which I teach, and the sidereal system, which is following the zodiacal constellations, and they've precessed. They've shifted in relation to this other inner ecliptical belt of the sun and the planets, right? So the two are out of sync. They used to be in sync. And so what happens when you do that is that a fall happens. This is the fall. The longevity of mankind is reduced. So the lifespan, we would have gone from, say, 1,000 years of vegetarian lifestyle, and then flesh eating came in, because that's what happens when the demons infest the plane. They teach you to go cannibal. I mean, in Papua New Guinea, it's okay to eat your neighbour's head, right? So, and in this country, it's okay to eat, pigs and goats. I find that just absolute insane. It's insanity to even think of eating an animal. It's freaking, woo! You got to be insane. You have to be insane. It's insanity. And that's the religion, the order of the day. People are insane and they think they're sane. So where do you begin teaching them, how to ascend and how to start the real true philosopher life and get back out of here? So what they did, there's a fall in lifespan, but there's also a fall in spirituality, and time it goes slower. Now, and that's why the sun needs an extra 5 days. The year is longer. That's why, because time has slowed down, and it will speed up, but it's cyclical. But that's how you know, because when they go out of sync, when they come back into sync, is the time when there will be a uni-seasonal year, and Jupiter will restore the kingdom back to Saturn, which means that everything will go back to zero. And there will be a one-season year. Because when Jupiter castrates Saturn and takes over, there are 4 seasons. And they're very, very contrasted, winter to summer. But what happens is you still have 4 seasons when Saturn rules, but they're very, very mild. They're mild. The polarity is very, very mild. It's always tropical on the Earth. So this is a departure from the natural system, folks. Don't make any mistake about it. We are actually in a very demonic, unnatural departure from nature. That's why astrologers like me get derided, outcast. The truth that I teach about the geocentric Earth, because it's a no-brainer that the Earth's not moving. I mean, that is not moving. It's as still as can be. Pierluigi Gina, a very famous scientist in Italy who worked with Marconi for 10 years, he insists, you can see his videos on YouTube, he insists the Earth is stationary. And he virtually calls all the scientific world a bunch of idiots. And he says, there's a guy down in southern Italy, in Calabria, where I come from, called Cecchini. This scientist, he made a seismic machine which can detect 1/10 of a millimeter of the movement of the Earth. Now, that's not a millimeter. That's 1/10 of a millimeter. Have you ever seen a bee's genitalia in a microscope? It's about as wide as a bee's phallic. When the Earth moves that much, a bee's dick, the bells on his seismic machine go ding, 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 ding. That tells stupid humans that the Earth is freaking stationary and we're not zooming around the sun at Mach 88. Mach 2 would shred your DNA to tiny little particles. You'll be pulverized. Okay? The Earth is stationary. By scientific experiments, see my videos on YouTube. The Earth is stationary by scientific, provable, repeatable, observable experiments. Where are the experiments from the satanic Jesuit Copernican liars and deceivers that talk about a spinning world when it's not spinning? And I'm not upside down in Australia. And rest assured, if I point like this and point like this all around, horizontally all around me, I'm pointing to every single human on the face of this flat earth. Every one of them. Because you're all on my level. And you're not at my antipodes. You're not upside down in China and Australia and spinning at Mach 88. Orbiting around the Earth at Mach 88. Rotating at Mach 2.5. Then there's two other motions, of course, because the sun is thrusting around the center of the Milky Way galaxy at Mach gazoobagiglion, if that's a number, they reckon it is. And then on top of that, the galaxy is thrusting through the universe at more Mach Scooby-Gadooby-Galigilion. And that's what these bullshit artists teach you, and they want to vomit out of their mouths, and they think they're truthers. And they're upside-down spinning idiots. All of them. All of these truthers, that are still globalists. You're just furthering the globalist agenda. The globe came along with Copernicus, dudes. That's why his book says revolutions. Because prior to Copernicus, the Earth didn't move. They knew it didn't move. Only the Copernican revolution began that revolution, and the revolution's still going. And that's what NASA's still there for, to teach idiots that composite digital photos that they make in their computers of a round ball Earth, which obviously looks like a cartoon, since there's no real photos of the Earth as a ball, because it's not, why are people thinking CGI images, a la Danny Wilton, are science? It's a cartoon freak show.
Yeah, well, there's definitely something going on with NASA. Like one of my listeners who sent me these photos and things like that, NASA photos of Earth, showing the curve and stuff like that. And then you put them into your Photoshop, and then you turn the contrast all the way up, and the most amazing thing happens. All along exactly where the curve is, along this photo of the curve on the Earth, is a digital replacement. This is the photos on mainstream news and things like that. And you can do this with any photo, folks. If it's a real photo, it'll just go completely white when you turn that contrast up. But if it's a fake photo, you'll see these little rainbow-coloured digital imprints and things like that. So NASA is faking footage, and they have been basically involved with faking shit since day one. So whatever they're saying, obviously has no credibility. And then when it comes to this whole thing, what was it? There was a lot of arguments, and Copernicus, I think he got executed for saying that the Earth was round. And nowadays we've got people who are saying that it's flat getting persecuted. I think that what happens is every time somebody makes a discovery that disagrees with everybody else, not just with somebody else, but with everybody else gets really pissed off and tries to stop that discovery from even so much as being talked about. And in fact, that's part of the reason why you're on the show today, actually, is because there is the Flat Earth Conference going on in Auckland. I think you're going to be appearing via Skype or something like that. Santos, are you there?
Yep. Right. It
fell
off for a bit.
Yeah, sorry about that. So there's the Flat Earth Conference coming in New Zealand not too long from now. I'm not sure if you know the details on that you can share with the listeners.
No, I don't. I think I might even actually be doing a Skype call with them. There's something flat Earth coming up, and I'm doing a Skype call very, very soon. So that'll be interesting. But again, see, this is the thing. Flat Earth never went away. I was, as a Jehovah's Witness, as a little boy, I used to laugh at because we were taught to, as Jehovah's Witnesses, you see, they were saying to laugh at it because now we know that the Earth is a ball, and the Bible says the Earth is a ball, which it doesn't. The Bible does not. The Bible says it's a plateau, flat, in Revelation. But here's it. Here's how to seal it. I'll give all your listeners how to seal it if you want to know whether it's stationary or not. It's easy. You can do it just with your own eyes. How? All right. So you go out. You've got a smartphone, yeah. These days on your smartphone, you've got astronomical applications. You just download them for free, and you just point up to the sky, and it says, there is Leo. There is Virgo. There is Libra. All right? So, then you look at them. So the phone tells you where Leo is. So you look at the shape of Leo. Have a look at it. Star Regulus. You go around. It looks like a question mark. Okay, yep. Right. Then you go back to the books that have been recorded for thousands and thousands of years, and you look at the pictures they have of Leo. And you see that the stars are in the same position exactly. They're all in the same position. The North Pole Polaris is always there, never moves. Cancer is always the same. Scorpio's never changed. Well, look at the Paleolithic depictions of Taurus, and you can see the stars there since tens of thousands of years ago. Leo hasn't changed. The constellations are still there. You can see their shape every day. Still the same. No parallax. No shift in, say, dimness. They're not getting brighter or stronger. We're not bumping into any of them. Because remember, we are zipping around the universe at gazonka-billion, zooby-giggillion, gazipidillion Mach an hour, let alone the Mach 88 orbiting around. Imagine, if we were orbiting around the sun at Mach 88, during the day, the G-forces, we would just be compressed. And at night, we'd be sucked off the back of the Earth. None of that shit happens. Gravity is the same here, there, what we call gravity. It's all the same. It's all level. I've been to Ecuador. I didn't fly off. I've been up north, up to England. I didn't get sucked down with gravity. There was no differential because it's not spinning. So when you go back, and astrologers should know this, I call out all astrologers, Copernican astrologers. They're all liars and deceivers and Satanists and Copernicans, and I will laugh at them, and they will be laughed at forever. No wonder they look like Satan worshippers on their newspaper ads. Come to this astrologer who will look into your future. They're all Satanists. They're all stupid idiots. They're Copernicans. They think the Earth is spinning. They should know that astrology is geocentric. They should know that the Egyptians kept records 450,000 years back, and the Chaldeans 500,000 years back, of all the shapes of the constellations. They've never moved. No parallax. They're all the same. If we are zooming through space, there's got to be a change in those stars. There's got to be. It doesn't matter how many gazillions of light years they bullshit tell you that how far away they are. They're not. They're just up there because they're not moving. It's a chandelier. It's fixed. Just as Bhagavad Gita teaches, the stars are a revolving chandelier turning 24 hours every day. They do one revolution every day. It's a chandelier show. And we've been taught to believe all this bullshit that we're zipping through space in an atheist world that wasn't created nor designed by intelligence, by these stupid, satanic, institutionalized schools and institutions that are teaching this satanic, filthy rubbish. And the whole world has gone deceiving it, thinking they're upside down, spinning on a ball, a Santa ball. It's funny. We laugh at the Neanderthal Copernicans. They could be so stupid. The stars haven't shifted one bit. I see the depictions of the ancient Egyptians, of Leo, Taurus, all of their stars exactly the same. Not even a bit of a skew with. They're not even getting brighter. They're not changing in density. They're still the same as they were recorded gazillions of years ago. How can that be? It can't be. It's a roof. It's a firmament. Read the book of Genesis, and God made the firmament on the second day, and he put the stars in it and the sun on the third day. And the Greeks said that. The Greeks said Anaximenes, Anaximandes, Solon, Thales, before Pythagoras, they all said the firmament, the stars are nailed to the firmament as they revolve around in a felt, like a felt, on a cushion of air and magnetic cushions are suspending all the earth as a disc on the waters above and the waters below. That's magnetic fields. Water is magnetism. The sun is hydrogen. It's water. We think it's a ball. It's not a ball. The sun is a hole in space. It's a hole in counter space. It's a portal. You see the G in the Freemasonic thing? G, that's for gate. Gate is Gott in German. God in English. The gate, the portal is the sun. It's a hole. So you're looking at the sun going, oh, it's a nuclear fusion furnace and producing helium from hydrogen and compressing, and it's 1,000 trillion degrees. Bullshit. It's cold. It's water. And it's a hole in counter space in the firmament. It's you know what I mean? Eric Dollard will confirm that. The sun's empty. It's cold. Pierluigi Ghina says the sun is it's empty. He says inside the sun, he and Marconi discovered that he said the sun has a heartbeat. It's pulsing. See, it's the pulse perturbator, the plasma perturbator in the heavens. And when you look at it, you're looking at a holy hole. That's why the sun is holy, helios, because it is a hole. To be holy, you need to be a hole. Whole, but in a hole, in the sense that you go in a wormhole out of this world. It's all about holes and gates and portals and dimensions. And so we're stuck in the wrong channel, the wrong dimension, and it's all demonic. Okay? And how it happened is we fell asleep and we let the elites walk over us. And now we're awakening, and we don't want your vaccinations and your thimerosal mercury preservatives. We don't want your chemtrails. We don't want your nanoparticles, your AI. We don't need that. We need to go back to nature. You see, so people like me have been put in psych wards, jails, killed. How many naturopaths are getting whacked in the United States? Look at the guy who just wanted to make the Hipsy, what's his name? Nipsey, whatever, that black guy, 31, the rapper who was going to make a video on Dr. Sebi. They murdered Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi, by the way, is my inspiration for this fast. 10 years ago, he was saying, you want to get healthy and heal? Stop eating. Only through healing, through fasting, will you heal. And if I had known that, if I had done that 10 years ago, but I was listening to the stupid voices that all the listeners are listening in their own heads, which says, oh, Santos can do it. He's just sitting at home. He can do it. I'm busy. I'm going to work. I need energy. All of these voices, shut them the fuck up, okay? Because the longer you listen to those stupid voices, I should have been dead at 30, yeah? Because I haven't eaten for 58 days. At 30 days, I should have been dead. I do 36-hour dry fast, no water. Do I die? Do I look dead? So the answer is, let's get our power back. We're not consumers. You don't need to go and buy all that food that they're telling you. Go up to the cafe and eat and eat and eat and eat. You don't need to. That's a consumer. You need to go into that hole of holiness and follow the sun, Jesus Christ in the sky, Krishna, the crested one. That's why it's Christ, because it's got a crest, a corona, a crown. Coronal ejections. Well, that's coming from Christ's corona, crown of thought, because he's holy. And that is a hole in counter space, and it's teaching us. And the moon also. It's a hole, it's a dielectric hole in counter space. That's why they are the holy ones who stand on Mount Olympus. Just put an H in front of Olympus. You see, it's interesting. Jesus stands on the Mount of Olives, and Zeus, Jupiter Zeus, stands on Mount Olympus. If we understand what's going on, that these are the God archetypes of this demiurgic world, the world of matter, which is inferior to the pulse world of spiritual. See, once we understand that the world is pulse wave universe, then we get out of the wave, see the fault waves, noisy heads, because people are making too many waves. Their minds are too busy, and too many emotion waves. Their liver is toxic. Oh, my brother stole money off me 10 years ago and I'll never forget it. And all of these traumas that they're carrying in their livers. And that's why they've got cirrhosis of the liver and liver disease, and it's all making too many waves. When you get out of the wave world, you get out of the evil world of good and evil. Okay? And you go back to the world of the monad, Adam, monad, where you realize that living is spiritual in essence. It's a pulse. Look for the pulse. Even one of your New Zealand contemporaries there, Bruce Cathy, he tells you that reality is coming to us in pulses. I learnt that 15 years ago listening to Bruce Cathy. And so he's telling you, he's saying it goes on, off. And you can't see the off bits. You see it as continuously on, like a fluorescent light. By the way, fluorescent lights are not harmful for you, I'm telling you. They demonize them, the other industry, to get them out of our homes because they're actually good for you. There's an Italian scientist who's been saying that for decades, fluorescent lights. That pulse, that is good because that is, and as long as it's not a square wave and it's pulsating, that's good because that's the true energy of the universe. So, and that's where all the magic lies, beyond the mundane electrical world. Magnetism is beyond, it's transcendental. It's the mother of electricity. That's why Isis is always carrying her son Horus. Because the Trinity is always dielectricity, magnetism, and electricity. That's the Trinity of all Trinities. Every other Trinity you know about, it's all natural, guys. They all go back to the three forces, the three field modalities of the universe. It's dielectric, magnetic, and electric. That's what the universe is constituted of. These are the energies. This is the conscious energy of the universe. And that's Osiris, Isis, and Horus. And the sun is always with the mother in her arms because magnetism, the pulse, as it pulsates, remember the ripple in the pond, you throw a stone in and that radiation wave, the radiation wave is superior to the transverse wave because it decays. Radiation waves do not decay. They get bigger and bigger as they expand in the pool. They start off small as the stone and then their circumference just expands as they go out. That's why magnetism, the mother, has her arms open because the white light of the Virgin Mary, magnetism, is expansive. It never decays. It's universal. It's the universal energy. And its child, Horus, is horrible, horrid. And it is the transverse wave of red shift, blue shift. And that energy, because it's got red and blue in it, red blood, blue blood, red pill, blue pill, red Republicans, blue Democrats, red police siren, blue police siren, etc., 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 it decays. And that is the world that we are relishing in. We're looking for cuisine while we're down here and sense pleasure. Oh, I would like to have a nice meal with spices. Nothing wrong with that. But there are people who that rules them. Their hunger for those things rule them. Doesn't rule me. You know, if I want to desire a cooked meal, I can imagine it through my imagination. I don't need to use the tyrant hunger to tyrannize me into eating it. I have to do it because I've got to survive. No, I don't have that tyrant anymore. And I know how to master it at least up to 58 days. Tomorrow, I may fail. I may say, well, I need to put on some bulk now. I'm going to start eating. And I will. I know immediately within a week I'll go back to my normal weight or whatever it is. But I make no judgments. Right now I'm healing, and I know that you don't die if you don't eat anything solid for 58 days. And I'm empowered by that. And I'm sharing my empowerment. And I'm sharing by saying now I'm becoming more enlightened, more intelligent. And what I am, decrying and denouncing is the stupidity I was practicing prior to this, which is eating myself to death. I was eating all kinds of delicious food, spending up to $400 a week, I think. I was going to all the vegan cafes and getting organic food and nice dishes so I could get variety in me, because I was getting to the point where everything I made at home, whether it was a smoothie or a dal or a risotto, I couldn't stomach it. Something was happening. My body was saying, hey, dude, you're not putting weight on, you're not getting healthier, this dieting is just killing you. And I wasn't telling myself that, it was telling me. So I got that sick and tired of spending all this money and trying to get variety into me so that I could at least sustain some weight, and constantly fighting against this itching and sleep deprivation and losing weight all the time. And I thought, I came to this horrible point 58 days ago where I said, F it, I'm just going to stop eating. I listened to the voices of Dr. Sebi, Dr. Robert Morse, and all of these great inspirations I've had, and I just put it to practice. And I said, this is not the right, I'm half dead. It's not the right time to take something like this on. But I really had no choice. My back was up against the wall. I was in a bad way, guys. So if you saw me 58 days ago and you see me now and you think, oh boy, you're rather thin, Santos. Yeah, true. But you don't judge a fish by how well it climbs a tree. Okay? I've got energy and I feel good. And the good thing about this, I probably want to close off with this. If I think we've done 2 hours, and I think you might be about winding it up.
Yeah.
Just to finish it off, is I'm empowered. I feel good. And I've given myself more power. I know myself now. The motto, know yourself and you'll know the gods of the universe. How do you know yourself if you don't even venture to fast for 5 days and say, hey, I can do 5 days? And by the way, the first 5 days are hell. I've done plenty of 3, 4, 5 day fasts, and they're all hell. They're not worth the bother. You got to do at least 21, 30 days. So I hope everyone gets empowered by that, and I'll keep folks I'll be sharing as I go and keep them updated with my progress.
It's been a long show. Now, also, fenzexpo.co.nz is for that Flat Earth Conference, ladies and gentlemen. That's coming up on the 27th and 28th of April. I think I've been given a media pass and stuff like that, so I'll probably be there to interview people and see what they're making of all of this kind of thing. Now, is there a possibility, ladies and gentlemen, that you could support the show? That kind of thing, because it's really tough work, producing everything, and I have to do it all myself, and all the archiving and that kind of thing. So I'm giving platforms to all sorts of people, whether or not I agree with them and that kind of thing, because it's always interesting to talk to people regardless. And I think that this is probably what journalism has really been lacking, is the kind of openness and transparency to just hear people out, listen to what they have to say, and draw our own conclusions from that. So if you support this kind of journalism, please go to thevinnieeastwoodshow.com. That's Vinny with a Y, because it's the most important question, and Eastwood, like, go ahead, make my news. It's the lighter side of genocide, because just because we're being exterminated doesn't mean we can't make it fun. Otherwise, what's the point? Now, the main thing I've been trying to get across to, especially my Kiwi listeners, is there's a Kiwi bank number on that homepage there, thevinnieeastwoodshow.com. If you can set up an automatic payment every week, every month, whether that be $5, $10, $100 a month, I would very, very much appreciate that, because a lot of the work that I've been doing now, especially with the Christchurch thing exploding so hugely, I do need a lot of support, ladies and gentlemen. I've got to be flying around the country and doing all sorts of interviews. It's just been crazy, but ultimately my neck is better. I'm feeling a lot more energized, and we're getting straight back into the show as if we weren't restricted by 12 days for talking about the truth. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and you have yourself a fabulous evening.